Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's business meeting. We'd like to, before we begin, ask everyone to please bow your head for a moment of silent reflection. Amen. Thank you. Mr. Minges.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Our next business meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 11th, 2019 at 2 o'clock.
Thank you. September the 11th.
On our utilities agenda, item number 1, docket number 2019-14C. The Office of Regulatory Staff is requesting to suspend certain eligible telecommunications carriers' designations for not complying with their annual report obligations.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Belzer.
Before I start on my motion, I would note that by letter dated August 20th, the Office of Regulatory Staff submitted a list of carriers that had not filed their annual reports. These are on ETC designations. And as part of their letter, ORS had recommended suspension of certificates. I think I'm going to propose we go in a different direction than that, and I just want to give you some background. These reports are filed pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Regulation 103-690-1.1, and that regulation requires that annual reports be filed by June 30th of each year. The report is to cover the previous 12 months ending December 30th. These annual reports are due to be filed with this Commission and a copy provided to the Office of Regulatory Staff by June 30th of each year. Filing by June the 30th means no later than June the 30th. ORS has communicated with those carriers who have not yet filed annual reports, and subsequent to ORS's letter to this Commission, one carrier has filed a report out of time. However, that report does not appear to include or address all the information required by Regulation 103-690.1. I move that a hearing be set and noticed to address why the ETC designation of the carriers listed in ORS's letter of August 20th, 2019 should not be revoked for failure to provide annual reports meeting the requirements of the Regulation 103-690.1. Carriers who have not complied with the annual filing requirements must appear and show why their ETC designations should not be revoked. If annual reports which are compliant with the requirements of Regulation 103-690.1 are received prior to the scheduled hearing, then the carrier filing annual reports compliant with the regulation need not appear at the hearing. I further move that this directive be the order in this matter and that this order be served on the non-complying carriers listed in ORS's letter. I so move.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belzer's motion. Are there questions or comments on this? Not all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 2, docket number 2019-277C. We have an interconnection agreement.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the interconnection agreement between Teleport Communications America LLC and Piedmont Rural Telephone Cooperative Incorporated. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Williams' motion. Are there questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 3, docket numbers 2019-184, 185, and 186E. This item concerns the consultants interviewed in these dockets.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Belzer.
Back on, I think it was the 12th and 19th of this month, this commission held some open meetings, where we interviewed several prospective consultants pursuant to Act 62, which requires this commission to employ an independent qualified third-party consultant to assist this commission with avoided cost in the upcoming proceedings pursuant to Act 62. We had a number of very good candidates. We appreciate all the candidates and the time that they gave us to interview for this position. A number, well, I think all were well qualified, but for various reasons, some might have stood out more than others. I was, for one, was impressed by all of the presentations, their responsiveness to our questions, the attention that they gave us, and look forward to maybe in the future being able to use them in further proceedings. A couple of them stood out in particular to me, and but we need to narrow it down, and so I move that this commission hire John Dalton of Power Advisory LLC as our qualified independent third-party consultant to advise and report on avoided cost in the proceedings that we are required to conduct pursuant to Act 62, known as the South Carolina Energy Freedom Act. That's my motion, and I'm happy to engage in discussion with the commissioners as to why I think that this consultant is qualified and independent to meet our needs and the requirements of the Act.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belcher's motion. Are there questions or comments?
Commissioner Belcher?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the motion. I appreciate the points that you made, particularly the fact that we had a number of well-qualified candidates come forward, and we appreciate their time and effort in making the presentation. I was listening to your motion. I know that you mentioned avoided cost methodologies, but just for clarity, that's not the only issue that the independent expert would be available to consult with us, correct?
That's correct. I tell you, when I drafted the motion, I really looked at that one section of the Act that talked about the third-party independent, qualified third-party independent consultant, and but there are also the power purchase agreements and the standard forms, and there are other issues that we will be asking them to discuss with us and provide guidance on.
And I also appreciate the fact that all of us were involved with the process of vetting these candidates. I think the process worked well. I know I learned a lot from it, and I think we were all careful in trying to be sure there were no direct conflicts of interest. We were also careful to try and determine that they were all independent and could give us their independent expert opinions on these matters that are pending on these dockets. So I will say that I was impressed with them all, and I would like to thank Dr. Carl Petchman for his travel to South Carolina to outline his work with the National Regulatory Research Institute, which is, of course, that's a nonprofit, and I was impressed with the high-quality research that they provide to various commissions, and certainly think they were capable of doing the work. But I also like your recommendations. I'd like to listen to my fellow commissioners and hear their thoughts on the matter as well.
Thank you. Commissioners, anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to concur with Commissioner Belcher on her selection. I was able to follow the entire interview process thanks to the screening that the commission provides now. And I, too, was impressed with all of them. They were high-quality people that interviewed. NRI was one that is a NARU, part of NARU, and I feel strongly about them, but I understand that probably they aren't the best one that we should use at this time. So I would like to concur with Commissioner Belcher on her motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Howard, I see your light on.
Light is on. Hey, Chairman, I have several reservations about Mr. Dalton. Number one, in his conflict, he admits that he received $15,000 from one of the parties, even though it was 4 years ago. He said it's the minimus. My question is, who determines the minimus? We had a problem with Duke, receiving in the Pegasus deal. We had a problem with Duke, working several years ago for Pegasus, Pegasus working for Duke. But still, there is that money being exchanged between Mr. Dalton and one of the parties. Also, when looking at Mr. Dalton's resumes and bios, he had done very little, if any, work with vertically integrated utilities. Most of his work has been with Canada or with restructured markets in the Northeast. My attitude is there's a whole different way of calculating avoided costs in a restructured market than in a vertically integrated market. Those are my concerns, and I do have concerns about it, and those are my concerns. On the other hand, in my way of thinking, the biggest problem with NRRI is perception, because I'm on the board, and they are a member of the NARUT, and we pay dues to NARUT. However, their mission is to serve state utility regulators by providing and disseminating relevant, high-quality research that provides analytic framework as a practical tool necessary to improve the public interest decision-making. That's their mission, that's their job. They work for nobody else except commissions. They don't do any work from any other outside utilities or any other interest. So that's why I guess I was not guessed, but I think this time we're letting perception override what, in my opinion, is the more qualified candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the comments coming from my fellow commissioners, and I support the motion by Commissioner Belzer. Due to technology, I was able to sit in on the majority of the interviews, and without question, I think each candidate meets the standard in terms of technical expertise and understanding of the issues. Some may be more qualified than others, but I think they meet the bare minimum standard. After that, my concern is whether or not the expert we pick to provide us with consulting services in this most important docket will have the neutrality necessary to ensure that all parties believe they got a fair shake, including the using and consuming public, the ratepayers. I understand NRRI's role. I respect it. I think they produce quality products. But that does not take away from the fact that they are connected to this commission. And so the question becomes, will a party or average Joe ratepayer truly believe that our consultant, our expert consultant, is delivering an independent, neutral opinion when we have ties to, the commission has ties to NRRI. I agree with Commissioner Howard that it's a perception issue. I totally agree with that. But I also believe that perception is reality. So if it is a perception issue, then we need to be aware of that and try to do the best we can to ensure that this process is perceived and is in actuality fair, neutral, and unbiased. John Dalton and the Power Advisory Group, Power Advisory LLC, has not conducted much work in this area, if any at all. I think I remember from his testimony that some 20 years ago he worked or provided some work for Carolina Power and Light. Some 20 years ago he did some work for Dominion, not in South Carolina, or I should say his firm did some work for Dominion. I believe he's also testified that he did some work for the Environmental Defense Fund. And then his most recent endeavor was with a Canadian solar business. And through those experiences, it seems as if he's demonstrated that he has worked for every industry involved in this docket. So I don't think it could be said, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it could be said that he's an expert that has only worked for investor-owned utilities or only worked for the solar industry or only worked for environmentalists. I think he's a skilled, based on his resume, his testimony, and other supporting documents, that he's skilled in this area and he's advised on relevant issues in this area for a diverse group of interests. So again, from where I sit, it's not so much so that NRRI is not up to the task as John Dalton and the Power Advisory Group. But I think all things being equal, it's important to me that we protect this process and that everyone involved, including ratepayers, feel as if the commission is not conducting business as normal or business as usual, and that we are going outside of the box to ensure that we have a neutral and impartial expert. And with that said, Commissioner Belzer, I'm happy to support your motion.
Thank you. Anyone? Commissioner Belzer?
I would just like to note that I think that Mr. Dalton was very forthcoming in the conflicts, or what might be perceived as conflicts. As Commissioner Williams has noted, work done for Carolina Power and Light, and it involved a natural gas facility in North Carolina some 20 years ago. Work done by the firm for previous firm, not his current firm, for Dominion was beyond that. And he disclosed that he did some work for Canadian Solar 4 years ago that was a total cost of about $15,000. Canadian Solar is a member of the South Carolina Solar Business Alliance. So it is a member of the party. Canadian Solar is not the party. And that was, the work is over. And he indicated that he had no conflicts going forward. I would note that as far as his experience, that he indicated that he has significant experience throughout his career to independently evaluate utility avoided cost estimates. And he has a firm with 14 additional folks in-house that he can call. When asked about the models, he said he was not the guy that runs the models, but he's more the guy that, but he has a guy in-house that does the modeling. And they have an understanding of models from the power system planning perspective that looks more in terms of and understanding the electricity systems. He came across as, and I'm not saying that NRRI is not qualified. I think they provide valuable services to the commissions that utilize their services, but looking at this as a whole and where we are, I'm like, I think Commissioner Williams used the phrase, look outside the box, and I think that's what is needed here, and that's why I made my motion, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would just like to respond to Commissioner Belser's motion, original motion, in that all of the candidates would like to thank them for coming before us, the ones who appeared before us and the ones who also interviewed via technology, for their time and their interest in being our independent consultant to comply with Act 62. They were all thoroughly vetted, and as I think I asked each and every one of them, there are only a finite number of people / firms, and I'll use the word you like Commissioner Belser did in the plural of their organization, that can perform these tasks. And that said, the commission is limited in as we open the floodgates as best we could for applicants. The commission is limited in finding someone with this expertise that meets this goal. And fortunately, the General Assembly by Act 62 gave us provisions in there, such as relieving the procurement code and other measures that we're able to do to comply with Act 62. And given this finite number, as it's come out now, it's difficult to find someone who has not had some experience with either a utility or an intervenor or renewable party of renewable interest or other intervenor who has not had some kind of contact. However, I too would say that I was torn with NRI and Mr. Dalton. NRI does independent work for all state commissions in 50 states through NARUC. We know them. I know Dr. Peckman. We know them, and they're a known quantity. However, it can be noted that we have a relationship with them, contributing to them. That's easily foiable. That's out there. Is there a problem with that? That's for the public and others to decide. But back to Mr. Dalton, I did have some concern, and I shared some concern with a staff attorney of ours about his level of experience here. Most of his experience is being in the Northeast and Canada, as Commissioner Howard stated. But upon further questioning him, he did convince me that he could do this in our region for investor-owned utilities. And as Commissioner Williams has alluded to, he had done some work for Carolina Power and Light many, many years ago, more than 20 years ago. So with that, and as far as the conflict goes, he did disclose that work was less than $15,000, and it was for Canadian Solar. It was more than 4 years ago, prior to Act 62 even being drafted. So he's disclosed it. They themselves are not a party. They're a member of a party, as Commissioner Belser said. So with that, I don't know how much more forthcoming someone could be. And Mr. Dalton has convinced me that he has the expertise. The other key for me with him, as Commissioner Belser stated, Mr. Dalton said he has someone that can do in-house modeling. So with that, I'm going to support Commissioner Belser's motion It's been a tough decision. We've had some highly qualified people before us. So, Commissioner Belser, thank you for your motion, and I'm going to support it.
Thank you, Commissioners. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for your comments, and certainly thank the parties, the folks that came in and interviewed. We did have qualified candidates, and it's good when it's a tough decision because it means everybody's good, and we did a lot of hard work on this. Okay, if there's nothing else no one else has comments, we'll address the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 4, docket number 2019-185 and 186E. Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress are requesting confidential treatment of Snyder DEC Exhibit 1 and Snyder DEP Exhibit 1.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, Duke Energy has petitioned for confidential treatment of certain documents and has provided a very general justification. Before granting or denying such requests, I think the Commission should have additional information regarding 2 points. The first point is that Duke is requesting effectively 100% redaction of the documents in question. I would like to know if the redactions could be more closely tailored to fit the information that is necessarily redacted, to fit only the information that is necessary to redact. Second, given the subject matter to be litigated in these proceedings, I'm uncertain as to how and to what extent the redaction as requested would impact the ability of the parties to address the issues at the hearing. I would like to hear more from Duke on these 2 issues and propose that we neither grant nor deny the request for confidentiality at this time. I move that we request that Duke respond to these 2 issues. This information will be maintained confidential until the ultimate decision on confidentiality is reached. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. You've heard Commissioner Williams' motion. Are there questions or comments? Commissioner Belser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the extent that information on these pages are headings or charts, I don't know that the outline of the chart itself would be confidential. And so I too would ask, I support Commissioner Williams' motion and ask that Duke explain how the entire page is confidential material that should be redacted. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, item number 5, docket 2019-185E. This item does not require action because the Central Electric Power Cooperative has withdrawn its petition to intervene. Item number 6, docket number 2019-186E. We have a petition to intervene filed on behalf of the South Carolina Energy Users Committee.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we grant the petition to intervene filed on behalf of the South Carolina Energy Users Committee. So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Items number 7 through 12 are petitions to intervene by Ecoplexus Incorporated in the following respective dockets. Item 7, docket 2019-184E. Item 8, 2019-185E. Item 9, 2019-186E. Item 10, 2019-195E. Item 11, 2019-196E. And item 12, 2019-197E.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
I move we approve Exoplexus Incorporated petitions to intervene in items numbers 7 through 12 in the dockets identified by Mr. Minges. So move.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Irvin's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Items number 13 and 14 are motions for admission pro hoc vici of Benjamin L. Snowden Esquire in docket numbers 2019-184 and 185E respectively.
Commissioner Howard. Commissioner Howard, get your microphone on, please, sir. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I move we grant the motions for admission pro hoc vici of Benjamin L. Snowden Esquire, filed on behalf of South Carolina Solar Alliances in dockets number 2019-184 and 2019-185. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Howard's motion. Are there questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Items number 15 and 16 are motions for admission pro hoc vici of E. Brett Breitschwert Esquire in docket numbers 2019-185 and 186E respectively.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the motions for admission pro hoc vici of E. Brett Breitschwert Esquire, filed on behalf of South Carolina Solar Business Alliance in dockets number 2019-185 and 186E. So move.
Okay, you've heard Commissioner Whitfield's motion. Are there questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries.
Item number 17, docket number 2019-64WS. We have a petition to intervene filed on behalf of the Kalawasi Island Property Owners Association.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we grant the petition to intervene filed on behalf of Kalawasi Island Property Owners Association Incorporated. So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Items number 18 and 19 are petitions to intervene by Walmart Incorporated in docket numbers 2019-262E and 2019-239E, respectively.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Williams.
I move that we grant petition for Walmart to intervene in both dockets. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Williams' motion. Questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
On our transportation agenda, items number 1 through 6 are new applications that can be taken together. Item number 1, docket 2019-280T, Enhanced Care LLC. Item 2, docket 2019-282T, Daryl J. Morris, DBA Easy Shuttle. Item 3, docket 2019-284T, Tommy Cannon, DBA Rideshare. Item 4, docket 2019-285T, Annie Kennedy. Item 5, docket 2019-286T, Sammy Kelly, DBA Leak and Kelly Transport. And item 6, docket 2019-287T, JHG Travel, Transport, and Logistics, LLC.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the applications in the dockets identified by Mr. Minges. So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 7, docket number 2010-124T, we have a request to amend.
Chairman.
Commissioner Howard.
Chairman, I move we grant the request of Zanus Executive Transportation, LLC, doing business as Tri-County Transport Limo Services, to amend their Class C, that's charter certificate number 8273-B, to read 15 passengers. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Howard's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, item number 8, docket number 2019-244T, we have a request to amend.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Belzer.
I move that we grant the request of Minuteman Movers LLC to amend its tariff. According to the Office of Regulatory Staff, Minuteman Movers is in compliance with commission rules and regulations, and no complaints have been filed within the last 12 months. So move.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belzer's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Minges. If there's nothing else to come before us, we are adjourned.